All right, so this is first grade literacy. Great. So the first question I had is how is Tyler ahead of the pack? So Tyler is really doing some neat things as far as literacy is concerned because we are using the brain research behind reading in order to make sure that we are using best practices to teach our students. So here's just a brain structure here, but it just shows you the areas of the brain that are in charge of certain literacy skills. So you don't need to know that, just know that there's a lot of current research that actually looks at these areas of the brain and what's going on when children are learning how to read. And so a lot of the activities that our teachers are doing with your student is strengthening these areas of the brain, okay? So we use something called structured literacy, and here is the ladder of reading. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because there is only a small amount, and you see in this green area, of students that can be reached when you're not using a structured literacy approach or what we use. So the reason why things got really, really like broken down, and you're seeing a lot of these activities with manipulating sounds and things and pushing sounds out and all, is because this is where we want to go. We want to get everybody. And we do know that structured literacy hits all students. The ones down here, as well as it actually strengthens the ones up here. So what is your child working on? So here is the principles of structured literacy, okay? So the first thing is very organized. It is very logical. It's sequential. It starts with easier skills, and then skills get added over time. And it really builds. So it's cumulative, meaning that the prior concepts set the foundation, and then you really build on those previous concepts. So it is really, really explicit in the way that it's done, and it also is in tune with what your child is showing as they are learning. So teachers are taking notes on every single child, and they are tailoring the lessons to what they're seeing happening in real time in class. So there are several areas that we hit on in our structured literacy lessons. And I am going to take you through these two, the phonemic awareness and phonics. And I'm going to show you it's simple once you break it down. Okay, so phonemic awareness is just, can you hear the sounds? So you'll see your child working on something that looks like this. And I'm also going to be sending you afterwards, if you want to receive a packet of these things, you can work on your child, work with your child on some of these activities that they're working on in class. So this looks like this. So if they were working on short E sound, then you would give them something that looked like this, and it would be bed. And some of the questions you would want to ask is, can you push out the sounds in bed? Well, you would do b, d, bed. We're also really looking for students to say these sounds correctly. So you will hear teachers say, you need to clip the sound at the end of d. So if a student said duh, you would say, I need you to say d. And so the student would then be prompted to say d instead of duh. So then you could ask questions like, what sound do you hear in the middle of bed? And they would have to say, eh. What sound do you hear at the beginning of bed? B. What sound do you hear at the end of bed? D. So you want to know, do they actually hear the sounds in spoken language? Because until they can hear those sounds, they can't write them. So let's move on to another one. So here is a picture of a bat, and the teacher would say, can you push the sounds in bat? And you would push b, a, t, bat. Then what sound do you hear in the middle of bat? And they would say a. What sound do you hear at the beginning of bat? B. What sound do you hear at the end of bat? T. And once again, you will be getting a bunch of these so that you can work on this type of stuff with your child if you want to. So then another activity that we're doing is in phonemic awareness. And so this is the foundation for being able to read and write at all. Is having phonemic awareness. So this is just, can you hear those sounds? So here's an example of beginning sound discrimination. So you would say cat, cone, rock. which two words have the same sound in them, or you could say which word doesn't belong. These two have the k sound at the beginning, so the student could tell you cat and cone start with the same sound, and rock does not. So they have to know that rock does not start with the k sound. You'll be getting some of these cards also so that you can work on some of these activities with your child. So here we have three words: piano, up, park. So you could say piano up, piano park. Which word starts with the same beginning sound as piano? And they could say park. Or you could say which sound or which word does not belong. So piano up, park. And they would have to say, ooh, piano and park start with the same sound, but up does not. So you want your child to be able to hear those sounds and be able to tell where those sounds are happening. So here's another one where you're looking for ending sounds. So you have three words and you want to know which two words end with the same sound. So rub, rake, web. And they can say rub and web end with the same sound, or you can ask which one does not end with the same sound. And you are not showing your child this card. It's not in front of them. You're just saying these, and they are telling you which one either doesn't sound like the rest or which two sound the same at the end. So phonics, once again, it is taught in a very specific order for teaching the sounds. We use decodable text and decodable words, which means that everything you see in a word or a text has been previously taught, all of those sounds. So if I had the word bat show up as a word, they would have been taught b, they would have been taught a, and they would have been taught t. And then you use those sounds together and they can read the word bat because they have been taught all of those sounds. So none of the sounds that are showing up in the text and none of the sounds that are showing up in the words they're reading will be something that they don't already know or they haven't been taught yet, because we can't expect children to read something that they have never been taught. And that's a whole thing around structured literacy. So only sound patterns that are taught, and they get more complex as they move along. So right now our continuum, or the way that we're teaching it, starts with C, then O, then A, then D, G, M, L, H, T. And that's not just the letter, but it's actually the letter sound, and then being able to read the words, even if it's not a real word, and then being able to spell those words. So connecting all of those things together with what they have learned. And then it continues from there. And the reason why we throw vowels in where we do is because you have to have a vowel to make a word or to read a word. And so vowels show up early so that you can actually make words out of these letter combinations. Okay, so what is my child working on in phonics? So consonant sounds, which are anything that is not a vowel. So here are the short vowel sounds right here. And so you will notice that in class, your student will be working on short vowel sounds. And then sometimes they will be working on consonant sounds, depending on where they're at. So it's very prescriptive to the individual child and the group. So then they will move on to digraphs. So that is just two consonants that come together and make one sound. So sh, ch. So that comes up, that shows up next. And so here's an example of two words that use vowels and consonants. So hop would be a vowel and consonant word. Man would have vowels and consonants. But then once they learn these digraph sounds right here, they can read chip and ship. So these skills really build over time and allow students to be able to read any word. So it's not like how we were taught, where it was just whole word and they were like, just memorize these spelling words and then, come in and spell those words. Well, then 5 words. But if you actually teach them all of the sounds and how to bring those sounds together to make words, then you open up this whole wide window to being able to spell any word that you're given, even if it's not a real word that has those sounds in it. Here's an example of a decodable text. So if you look here, this is something students would read if they knew P-E-G, D-M-T-O-B, the letter A, or the word A, the word the, and the word and, because some words actually cannot be, they're not phonetic, which means that you can't just know letter sounds and know the word. So they actually have to map those out, and you'll see teachers mapping out those words. So if you look in here, there will be absolutely nothing in here that the students have not been explicitly taught by the teacher. So they can read anything as long as the teacher has taught them all those very specific sounds. So then you get to something a little bit more complex, and this happens very quickly because once they have all their just their sounds in the alphabet, pretty much, their short vowels, and then all those consonant sounds, they can move on to those digraphs, which I showed you before, which are those two sounds that come together, or those two letters that come together to make a single sound. So once they know SH and they know all the vowels and consonants, they can read this. So they don't have to memorize these words. They just know because they have been through explicit phonics. So my next thing is helpful places. So if you look up here, there's a place called Flyleaf Publishing. And this is a great place where you can go and get books that, and there's even like little homework assignments if you wanted to do like extra work. But if I open up this link, and you can open up and save this link if you want to. And I also think we're going to be sending out the presentation and the slides and everything. But if you look here, they have readers in here where you can open up the book. And they're actually really pretty, and they're free until, I know these are free until at least December right now. So you go through and they follow along with the same structured approach that the teachers are using. So if you think, well, all the books I have at home are just, you know, they don't follow this and stuff, this is a place that you can go for that. Okay, now let me go back so I can, you know, sometimes the toolbars and stuff get in my way. Drag this down. Okay, so now we're back here. All right, so okay, so that's Flyleaf Publishing. It's right here. You can copy and paste that link or bookmark it or anything if you want to. And it's also going to be provided in this slideshow or this Google slide. So another thing you can do if you have an iPhone or an iPad and your child is missing some of those letter sounds, or it even goes above that, there's something called OG Card Deck, and it's free. You can put it on an iPad or you can put it on an iPhone. I'm still trying to figure out if there is an app you can install that is not an iPad or an iPhone, but this one's really good. I will update this if I figure out an app that can be downloaded on other devices. But what it does is the child can click on a card and it will tell them the sound and the letter or the combination. And it even has picture cues for some of those. So that's a really great place to go for your child to review. You also have access to Scholastic Literacy Pro, where your child can read books. That is located in the Clever portal. So if you go to your child's Clever portal, they can read in the Scholastic Literacy Pro. And I think it's an app on the Chromebooks. Okay, so those are 3 different places that you can go. And then down here, other helpful things. So here is the link to Lexia. I'm sure that you've heard about it because our teachers have been getting students in. Lexia is an absolutely fantastic program that is completely hands-off for you. So if you put your student on for 15 minutes, 10 minutes a day, it actually adjusts to your child's level. So they take a little pretest, and then it covers all of those really great areas that lead to comprehension, or being able to actually read and then know what you just read. So Lexia is tailored to your individual child, which means that they will be getting exactly what they need by completing this program. But the thing is, we need the students to actually log in every day and use it for about 10 to 15 minutes. So it doesn't take long. They can use it for longer than that if they want to, but it really does step them through exactly where they are at, and it will fill those gaps for your child. And so we just did a trial of it, and we've decided to continue it and pilot it for this school year. And so the hope is that enough kids are using it to grow with it, and we can show that growth and continue to have that in place. I use it for my own children, and they've been using it for months now. And what I've seen is that even with my dyslexic son, that I will bring up something and go to teach it, and he'll say, "Oh my gosh, I saw that in Lexia. I know what that is." So it really is a great way that is perfectly tailored to every single child to teach those skills. You can get the user word and or the username and password from your child's teacher, and the username and password are the same. So they aren't two different things. Username is the same as the password. And I believe that just about every teacher has set up their students getting in and all, so they should know how to get there. But if they don't, and if your child has not put the link in, here's the link right here that you can go to, and it takes you directly to the Tyler learning portal so that your child can get in. So if you wanted to go to that and bookmark it, or pull that off of here, you can do that. But please encourage your child to get on Lexia every day, because it really is a wonderful program. Okay, so how can I help at home? So, one of the most important things that you can do at home, and I know we've said this and we'll keep saying it because it is just so important, is to read to your child. When you read to your child, it builds vocabulary that they won't hear in everyday language. So, we don't speak the way that authors write. So, when you are reading a book to your child, there are new words coming up all the time. And we want children exposed to as many words as we can get them exposed to early on. It also develops background knowledge. Children can go through experiences in books that they would not ever have access to in their actual lives. It pulls them outside of their, especially right now during the pandemic and everything, when we can't take our children all over the place like we want to, or visit the zoo or visit the museum. Reading really does bring them to other places. And so the more background knowledge, or the more knowledge about the world that we have as people, the better readers we become. And so that really does help build literacy. It's not just about the child sitting there and reading to themselves every night, but really reading to your child so that they can get the vocabulary that they can't read on their own, and the background knowledge that they couldn't read and get out on their own. And we do have a little library at the front of Tyler, and it is always fully stocked with books. So please, please, please come down, grab a book, grab 5 books, grab the whole little library. If you take books out, Miss Killian will fill it right back up, because she is absolutely amazing and has lots and lots of books at Tyler. Working with your child using the decodable books that I gave you a site for that. I'm also going to include, if you want a packet, I'm going to include a bunch of decodable readers in there too that you can work with your child on reading. Letter sounds, make sure your child has all of their letter sounds. Go through that OG Card Deck app that I gave you, or just go on the computer and look up the alphabet, put it up, and just point to random letters and have your child tell you what sounds they make. Phonemic awareness, that is where the screen where I showed you, I can pull it up again, these things where you're asking them what words start with the same sound, or what one doesn't start with the same sound or end with the same sound. And I'm going to be sending out, if you want a packet, I will send some of those drills that you can do with your child also. Another thing is listening to books. So going into Literacy Pro app, there are books that your child can listen to. Listening to books is an amazing thing to do also. And there are lots of ways that you can do that. There's a lot of online books. YouTube has lots of books. There's lots of places where you can go and your child listens to somebody else reading to them. Communicating with the teacher, asking questions. So what is my child working on would be a really great question, because then they can tell you, we're working on short I, so the if sound. And then you have enough information to where you can kind of continue to ask that question. And it could just be putting the letter that the teacher tells you they're working on that week on a little note card or a piece of paper, and then just holding it up throughout the day. And your child, you say, what sound does this make? And they go, eh. And then as you move on, you can keep adding to that deck and keep asking them. That's a really great way to practice those skills. What sound? It should be what sounds are. Okay, so what sounds are missing? You really want to make sure that at this point in time in first grade that your child is not missing letter sounds. So ask the teacher, reach out and say, what sounds can I work on at home? What words should you review? So if the teacher has a bunch of words that follow the pattern, you can actually write them on little note cards. So if they were working on short I, the teacher might be able to tell you, oh, well, here's some words that follow the patterns that your student should be able to read right away. So you would just put them on little note cards, and then you can go like this, and your kid can just read those words, just practicing decoding quickly or reading words quickly with that short I sound in them. Okay, so I am putting together packets. They will have phonological awareness activities, or some of the things we saw at the beginning. They will have decodable words and texts that follow the patterns your child might be working on, a letter sound sheet, and even handwriting practice. So I have a packet request form. So if you would like a packet, just click on this form, and then it will take you to a Google form that you can fill out. After you fill that out, it will come directly to me. And then I will be able to get that packet printed out and sent out to you so that you can work with your child. I'm going to leave this one up for a minute, just in case.
You can't click on that, Miss Harris. They won't.
You click on it?
No.
Oh.
But when we send out the slide deck, like it'll be there. And then I'm going to stop recording here in just a minute once you finish up, and then get her student's name anyways, so that I can make sure they get the book coupon. So we can get that information.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Miss Killian. Okay, so when the slide deck and everything gets sent out, we're going to get all the information. But I just thank you so much for coming. It's important that you are involved in this journey with your child. And we are so lucky to have your child at our school and be able to help them on this journey, because literacy is so important and it does so many things and opens up so many doors. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can let me know now in the chat box. You can also find me at, and then down at the bottom, that is my email address. You are more than welcome to send me an email.
Okay, I'm going to stop by recording.